Hi everyone, Soulsorcer17 here. Let me show as usual. I now own this pictures. I made the thumbnail. Now I paid video. Alright. So, I had to let my phone charge. So I decided to, wait until I basically get my phone charged to even start making the other 3 videos. I'm gonna try to basically get all the videos out today. I may have to walk over to my friend's house because his Wi-Fi is better, but I'm gonna basically see. If I can, then great. Because I want to get these all out today, so then I can also make basically 2 more videos today. But those ones I can basically put out during the night. Yes, I'm planning to make like maybe 6 videos in one day. 2 videos are basically gonna be like newer ones. 2 new about what ifs. Alright? So yeah, I probably already said that. I'm going to basically have to research though different characters from exactly the same series for series because the timeline's so freaking weird. But good. But I have some pretty good experience with the series. It's the Fate series. So yeah. I haven't basically done the community thing yet. I'm gonna do this after the video. So yep. Anyways. Last time we left off, before I get into the video, I'm just saying last time we left off was Inko dies. Aizawa finds out Izuku is his kid. Izuku finds out Aizawa is his dad. Izuku found out he has a brother, along with basically Nomura. Basically Aizawa, I think it's Nomura. Midnight, basically, in this one, since she married Aizawa. So yeah. But, so basically he's living with them. They find out about anti-venom, or venom, or AV. And, well, yeah, he's also the vigilante. So, I want to say this real quick. I do not own this pictures. Like, I already said that. I think I said not paid video. Sorry, my mind's just going way too quickly. But yeah, let's just get this thing started. I made basically the last video an hour. I'm going to try and make this an hour. Well, I tried to make the last 1 hour. It was an hour and over. I made a cliffhanger. Yeah, I know. Why do I do that? Because don't know where I was going to go with it. With the whole entire no move thing. I only got up to the no move, like the USJ part. When they get there, I had no ideas for the where to go with it. I had to basically think, and I was making the video, and I didn't want to pause it, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good there. So, anyways, yeah, let's just get into it. This is what if Deku was basically anti-venom, what became anti-venom in Spider-Man Part 4? Yeah, 4. So, I already said last time we left off, so, yeah, so basically, more people arrive. Basically, Mirko and Endeavor, along with Snipe. Which, Izuku basically thinking, Venom, do you think this is going to be good? And Venom just says, I don't think so. It's going to be really annoying, don't you think? Which he just made some mental nod. Basically, Endeavor is there just to try to be intimidating. While Izuku is just basically just be like, oh wow, annoying? He's really annoying, don't you think? Which basically Venom just says, yes, he is. And basically he's going to be coming after us if he finds out. I'm like, yeah, no, but Izuku's like, yep. So basically Todoroki gets a little bit angry looking on his face, but then covers it up later, so it's just like a weird moment. And basically everyone can have to leave. There's the number 2 heroes here, along with Mirko and such. It's just one big thing. Basically people are basically shocked and surprised and cannot believe it. So yeah, Mineta is, being Mineta. So yeah. So, basically, Endeavor goes like, so why are we here? And Razorhead. Which he just sighs for like, one of my problem children here said basically that I had a gut feeling. And basically Miracle's like, and you believe him? Which basically is just nods. Which Endeavor just scoffs and like, you have too much faith in your kids. Which basically Zao gets a little bit pissed. He goes like, listen here, you flaming trash can. Which everyone is just shocked, including Endeavor. Mirko just laughing, while Zuko's trying so hard not to laugh. But Todoroki's like, can you be my dad moment he's thinking in his head? Which Endeavor's like, Razorhead, what? And I'm like, basically he goes, no, listen, here. Like I said, I believe in my students. And one student basically got a gut feeling something was gonna happen. So, why take the chance when basically we have a person here who's basically not even here yet? Which, aka All Might, which I don't see why Nezu did not call any basically backup before this. But hey, you want to go out there and try to become number one, or you want to basically protect the next future basically heroes. Which is never just looking at all the students and sees his son and just kind of looks at it and basically Eraserhead just sighs and be like, fine, have it your way. Which he just blinks, he's like, wow, you basically, he just says, I'm not in the mood to argue with you today. So, yeah. So, basically, Midnight and basically 13 says, alright, everyone, come on, let's go in. And when they go in, the doors close and the lights are flickering, and then basically a portal opens, and Eraser immediately looks at Endeavor and says, like, told you, never, ever doubt my student. And Endeavor just be like, coincidence. In which basically Zuko's thinking, I think not. Not coincidence. So yeah, so basically when Shigaraki reveals himself and a whole bunch of villains to come out, he goes, we are the League of Villains. Why is the number 2 hero here? And the number 6? Along with Snipe? And Midnight? Where's All Might? Which basically, I want to say when Kirishima was like, wait, those are real villains? Which Zuko's literally just looked and was like, yes, they're real villains. And so, basically, Zuko doesn't, he just sits down basically near something. He's not going to go down because right away Endeavor and Mirako and Aizawa basically jump down, telling basically the students, not to go in. Which everyone's like, basically kind of just shocked to see this, while Zuko's just like, my dad's pretty good. Endeavor's meh. All he does is throw fire around. As basically, he just sees it basically Endeavor throwing fire at the ground, making an explosion, sending 3 people flying to others, while he's also then punching people. And basically just sees Mirako. Basically, he's like, good fighter. But then for some reason, he feels like Venom is like getting a little bit mad. He's like, Venom, why you get angry? Why you get mad? She goes, nothing. Which he's just basically have a mental conversation while they're fighting, while everyone's watching. He's like, Venom, are you getting jealous? She goes, no. Why? He goes, you just sound like you're getting jealous. She goes, I am not getting jealous. I go, like, yes, you are getting jealous. She goes, no. He just sighs and like, let me guess. Mirako? She goes, maybe. It's just, Izuku literally just like comes into his mindscape and just like blinking at her. He's like, why? She goes, I don't know. Animal instincts, maybe? He goes, you're not even an animal. Don't pull that BS on me. She just, and anti-venom, or venom just be like, she just kind of sighs like, okay, maybe I'm jealous because she's, well, strong. which he's just looking at, basically. Which basically Zuko's just looking at Venom like, strong. Are you done because of your... Because technically speaking, even though you can make your own body, you have to be connected to me. You're not basically strong. She nods. He's like, oh. I thought you were basically jealous because of how she looks and basically how basically she has like a lot of fans that are guys. She goes, well, you're not one of them. He basically, Zuko goes, true. I mean, she fights pretty well. And basically, would we have an interesting time fighting her? She goes, yep. But basically, you're just basically upset because of basically you in basically human form can't basically do what she's doing. She goes, yep. Even though I can climb walls and basically climb walls and such and shoot webbing, I don't have the physical strength. I only have that basically when I'm with a host. Which Izuku's like, I get it. Just because of basically, because you want to have that sort of strength. Which then he tilts his head, he was like, why? Then she goes, to protect you. And for an instant, Izuku just kind of like blinks, pause, and it basically everything. He's like, I don't need protection. I got spider powers. I can turn invisible. I can basically shock people. She goes, true, but still, I care about you. He's like, touchy moment. I know this is a touchy moment, not trying to be a jerk, but I get back and, make sure nothing's happening. She just sighs like, I know. But still, thank you for, caring so much about me. She goes, of course I'm going to care about you. I mean, I don't want you to end up like my last partner. Which, Izuku's like, being somewhat dense for a minute. Only a minute. But then he realizes that maybe there's something more. I think. I'm not looking into it. But anyways, so Izuku comes back, snaps out of it, and Kirigiri shows up, and Izuku's like, crap. And, well, Midnight's there, basically 13. 13 would try to use the black hole. And basically when Kirigiri is about to use the other, basically his, warping quirk, to make basically a portal work behind her that will make the black hole. Yeah, no, Izuku basically just shoots a web out. Basically, can literally say he just put basically web shooters that he finally finished them. But, cover story. But yeah, no, he just shoots webs out, basically hidden basically in the metal plate, and he pulls out a little Kiriko's like, no! Get away from it! And basically warps away. Which Izuku's like, wow, that was easy. Everyone just looks at him. He goes, what? Web shooters. Which, basically, I would say, like, Momo's like, web shooters? I invented them. Which Midnight goes, I can agree, but I can basically say 100% that is true. Which, basically, everyone just looks at her like, explain later, pay attention now. So, when basically Kirigiri basically comes back, Shigaku's like, Kirigiri, what happened? He goes like, a student basically somehow shot a web out of his wrist and basically was pulling on my bracer. Which he goes, webbing out of his wrist? Does he have some kind of spider quirk? No, sir. I basically do not... Maybe he invented it? He goes, we can't speculate. Just... We basically didn't, think about anyone they would call backup. But how did they know about our plans? Did they figure it out? Which basically goes, I do not think so. Should I bring out the Nomu, sir? Which Kirigiri asks Shigaraki, so Shigaraki goes like, of course bring out the Nomu! As the Nomu comes out. And basically Shigaraki goes, Nomu! Kill the heroes! And he's pointing to Endeavor, Mirako, and Azawa. Snipe, though, is also shooting from afar. Basically, was on the stairs. I forgot to mention. So yeah, so basically the Nomu runs over. Basically, Mirako sees it, so she will try to attack it. It grabs her, throws her. Endeavor throws basically a fire at it. A javelin spear. It hits it basically in the shoulder. as he screams down in pain, grabbing the fire, ripping it out, as basically Endeavor's thinking, take that, villain. Let's see if you can, as it regenerates, which he's like, which I didn't even think is Endeavor was like, just for 1 minute, kind of like, okay, I know this is coming from me, but that is some bullshit. Which, and Razorhead, what do you mean it's coming from you? He goes, I can literally make fire and shape it a bit, and I can literally fly with it somewhat. In which, and I was like, enough talking, more fighting. Agreed. So yeah, so basically Aizawa tries to erase basically Noma's quirk, while some villains are coming, about to come, are trying to come up, while Snipe is, having problems when Izuku just sighs and just runs and just jumps forward, while Midnight and 13 are basically saying, Midoriya. Well, technically Midoriya again, he hasn't announced he's Aizawa yet. So yeah, no. Basically, Izuku literally just takes, Deku basically takes out basically his pistols and starts shooting basically his rubber bullets, rapidly hitting people and stunning them. As basically Snipe's like, wait, what? As then basically Izuku automatically basically starts fighting, because he lands around the step, jumps, knees one person in the face, starts kicking another one in midair, and basically somehow, jumps off someone's face while kicking another person in the face, and lands. He goes, what? He goes, you're not supposed to fight villains. You're like, you're being outnumbered, you needed help, and I'm the only one here that knows how to basically shoot guns. Which Venom was saying, briefly know how to shoot guns, because you never shoot them before until now. Well, and basically yeah, I know, shush. Because he would say that in his head and basically start, loading basically the rubber shock bullets. As multiple villains are getting pissed off at this kid, as Izuku just literally freaking puts them away and just goes in to fight hand to hand. Some they're thinking that he's gonna, die, so because of them. And when they find out, Izuku, when he punches, it sends them, it basically hurts. Izuku grabs one, throws him to another, and he goes, wow, I knew you guys were basically strong, but you guys are really crumbling like basically bricks. Or was it basically a drywall? Which one was like, what is that supposed to mean? And it was like, well, you guys may be strong, but you really are basically able to basically not take a punch. Like, seriously. As one person basically then, this one person, that's the one basically I think that had the hair quirk that, uses his hair to wrap around Suzuku. He's like, wow, I know I heard a bad hair day, but come on, this is ridiculous. She goes, is that supposed to be a quip or something? He goes, no, this is blackout. She goes, huh? And basically all of a sudden her hair goes down, which Suzuku activated his quirk. And basically he kind of does it to multiple people, which they're basically trying to use their quirks, and they can't. They're like, what the? He basically smirks and, yeah, it was a one-sided fight for him. Which, just Snipe is like, he's just rubbing he basically, for a brief minute, basically just had to contemplate what's going on. He looks at Razorhead. Razorhead's getting his ass, getting his butt kicked by the no-move all Endeavors, also, but, yeah, but it's not by, in canon. Which he's like, is that? No, it can't be. Razorhead basically has Shinzo. But could it? Just basically shoot one person that was in the leg. But yeah, so basically, I would say what happens is that I knew I had it. Okay. So while this is going on, basically Endeavor and Aizawa and Mirko are having a really hard time finding the Nomu, because no matter how much damage they do, it doesn't seem to work. Mirko basically is wounded, and basically Aizawa has a, not wounded by much, but Endeavor is pretty wounded. So when Aizawa tries to basically dodge, the Nomu grabs Aizawa's arm, and basically, breaks it, which he screams out. Midnight basically, hears it, and then yells at Razorhead, which Izuku looks over and sees Aizawa basically broke arm, and basically for a brief moment he froze, And basically, Venom's like, oh no, he's gonna go. As Izuku just gets basically not going berserk, but determined. Which Venom was like, I thought you didn't go berserk. He goes, there's no point in me going berserk mode. I already knew what happened that one time because I'm, muscular. This time I'm using my rage. I'm using my rage basically to fuel basically my punches. As well, Zuko basically would dodge, kick off a villain, basically land right, there's only probably like a couple of villains left so Snipe can handle them, and it just starts running. Which basically, Midnight's thinking, oh no. So, when Endeavor throws the javelin, basically, it's the Nomu in the stomach, he gets a razor head out of there. Miriko's getting up, but then she just sees basically black and white, and she's thinking, wait, it's that kid! As she basically saying, hey kid, don't! As, well, Izuku does not pay attention, he just kind of shut her out. So, when the Nomu basically is about to try to throw a punch towards Endeavor's, getting ready to basically block. All of a sudden, basically, the Nomu gets shot in the shoulder, which basically stings it, and it screams out, looks over, it just gets pelted by more rubber bullets. Basically, they have electricity, which, yeah. It basically gets angry, and basically, Kirigiri basically says, that's the boy, sir. But she goes, Nomu, kill the brat! And, well, the Nomu will go after Izuku. Izuku, basically, seeing the Nomu coming at him, basically the Nomu throwing a punch. Izuku dodges, basically throws a punch. And, well, it actually does nothing. Which Izuku's thinking, ah, crap. When the Nomu basically hits Izuku, tries to hit Izuku, he dodges, kicking basically the Nomu in the, hand, basically having the Nomu basically punch itself. And it basically stumbles back, which basically Izuku's thinking, hey Venom, do you think you can take over that? Which basically, Venom's like, I'm not leaving you. He goes like, no, just briefly, take over, like part of you. Since, you are the god of symbiotes. Which, basically Venom's like, maybe. Since basically, as long as I'm near you, I still be fine. Yeah, besides, though, my suit is technically basically still black and white. So, it'll just look more metal. Which, basically, but won't Dave know? Which Izuku's dodging, basically kicking the Nomu in the shoulder, which when he hears like a crunch, and he lands, he goes, at this moment, I don't care. We don't know what this thing is, and besides, I don't even think it's alive. As he basically dodges a grab. And basically Izuku basically just, basically uses basically blackout, and then punches the Nomu, and it actually does damage. Which he's thinking, I just erased this quirk. But basically, then he dodges again, punches, and more basically screaming the Nomu, which basically Kira goes like, what? Even Shirako goes like, impossible! So, right when basically the Nomu basically, tries to hit Izuku, he dodges but then grabs the Nomu and goes like, now Venom! As basically some of the symbiote goes on to basically the Nomu. And well, what happens is simple, since everyone basically does not see much, just like basically the arms of basically Izuku's, looks like suit suddenly turns like metal. And basically the thing basically is going on to basically Nomu. All of a sudden, basically Izuku just jumps away as it disappears, and which basically Shigoro goes like, what was that supposed to do? Which basically Izuku just shrugs and a couple of basically attacks. Izuku basically kind of leaned towards more of an area where people are getting sort of watch. Endeavor basically tries to throw a javelin, driving a fire, which Izuku basically jumps over over basically where the Nomu would have punched him. The Nomu jumps after, which Endeavor misses because of it, and grabs Izuku and throws him down, and basically hits the ground. He's thinking, that's gonna hurt in the morning. And the Nomu just tries to basically throw both of its fists down, but then all of a sudden, that's when it lands, it's basically about to hit Izuku, but then it stops, and then he goes, it took you a while. As all of a sudden, this basically whole entire basically like white thing going around the Nomu's body, as basically everyone just sees this black and white head basically coming off of the Nomu's shoulder. And well, as I was like, well, it's dead. Which basically says this thing's not even alive. Which everyone is shocked. I'm like, wait, it's made of multiple dead corpse? Which basically, yeah, and Venom just nods. Then basically Sugar was like, where that thing is, how does it know basically we made this thing to kill All Might? Which then Zuko goes, so it's dead? Literally? He goes, yes, it has multiple quirks. Shock absorption, regeneration. And basically, I'm like, but I don't know why I'm saying because of, I guess, I'm used to it, because of my isekai one. So yeah, but, Izuku's just like, it has shock absorption and regeneration. Any super strength? Which, basically, Kirigiri goes, yes. Wait, I mean, we weren't supposed to tell you this. Which Izuku's like, well, this worked out for me. Mentally, he thinks that. Which, basically, Venom says, hungry. Which Izuku's like, it's dead, go ahead. So, I mean, he just kind of walking away. As then all of a sudden, everyone just sees this weird head just bites down the Nomu's brain, just rips out and eats it. Which everyone's like screaming. And then basically it just falls down dead. And, well, Izuku basically just walking past this thing just disappears. And basically it goes back. And the little piece of basic anti-venom goes back onto the suit. Going back to where the basic arms were. And it basically goes like, so. Got shock absorption, regeneration, and now basically super strength. I'm keeping the super strength for my human form. The regeneration and shock absorption you can have. Cool. So basically, I just need to simulate them into you. Just give me a couple of minutes. He's like, no problem. Kirigiri is like, impossible. Shigaraku's like, you cheater, cheater, cheater. Azuku just basically like, wow, man, you're acting like a kid. So, hand job. Wait, no. Handyman. Yeah, that works. He's like, ah. So what's your master plan on this? Trying to kill All Might and then what? Take over the world? Give me a minute. Okay, so as soon as Zuko says that, Shigaraki says, it doesn't matter because you're gonna die! As, well, portal opens, Shigaraki basically puts his hand right through, and basically Zuko already activates Blackout, in which basically, well, when Shigaraki touches his, because the portal opens right next to Izuku, basically opens, Shigaraki touches Izuku, and Izuku basically like, is this supposed to do something? And then he just grabs him, basically, like, and basically, the, symbiote goes onto Shigaraki's arm, which even appears on Shigaraki's like, ah, what's happening? As basically Izuku, kind of, well, Kirigiri's about to close the portal because Shigaraki rips out his arm, Izuku lets go, and basically, he was Venom. He had Decay Quirk. He had a Decay Quirk, oh my god, we would have been dead if I didn't activate Blackout. She goes, yes! Stop trying to make the villains angry. He was like, I'm sorry. And basically, Kiriko was like, Master, we should, as then all of a sudden, All Might punches for the door, and says, never fear, for I am here. Basically not smiling. And basically, Izuku says, you're late. And, well, All Might sees the situation like, I guess I am late. And yeah, Kirigiri basically says, Master, he goes like, I know, we gotta go. And then he basically looking at Izuku while Shigaraki is, and he goes like, I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna end you later, brat. And then he teleports away. Izuku goes like, wow, no goodbye? Rude. And basically, he hears Venom sighing in his head. He's like, what's wrong? He goes, you're acting way too much like Peter. He's like, that's a bad thing, is it? She goes, yes. I don't know why. Every time I'm in battle, I suddenly get these quips popping in my head. Maybe basically because you were with him before Eddie. You kind of get that part of him. Now it's a part of me. She goes, hopefully not. But she just shrugs. in which Endeavor comes, Endeavor, Aizawa, and Mirako, and everyone else coming down towards Izuku, and he was like, I have a lot to explain. Which basically Endeavor goes like, boy, what was that thing that whatever did to the Nomu? He's like, kind of made, how should I say this? Imagine it basically like a living organism, but basically you made it, and it's more like a defense. So, if it sees a threat, it basically will kill something, but since it'll listen to my orders, and since it's basically, the thing was dead, it's not really alive, it doesn't really matter. Which basically Miracle's like, but still, you came in and you fought basically, and it was like, yes, I did, I fought it. And I was doing pretty good. Which basically, Baku's like, nerd, how the hell did you do that? Which some people are actually wondering too, because like, first off, 1, remember my quirk, 2, I mean, he just shrugs like, I've been basically, I put myself through hard training so I can get to the level where I am. I mean, to be fair, the regeneration was being a pain, which he looks at Endeavor and goes like, right? Endeavor's like, grudgingly saying nodding. He goes like, and it basically had shock absorption. So basically, none of your guys' attacks would have done until All Might came around. And besides, basically, Endeavor, you couldn't go full power without basically killing, and basically Razorhead, Sensei, or basically Mirako. So, you basically had only one option, was basically try to stall till All Might came, and we did not have enough time to deal with that, so, yeah. Which Endeavor just sighs. So, is this thing alive? He goes, yes and no. It basically listens to me and no one else, and basically how I made it was by accident. I can't even recreate it. So, don't even ask. It's kind of like, you could say a second quirk, but it basically just goes on armor and stuff and protects me. That's all. Which, as I was basically giving Azuka's like, you really are stretching this thin, hurry up. So, yeah, and basically, All Might goes like, well, anyways, let's, clean up the mess here. And Aizawa and Zuko thinking, thank you, you must have brain idiot for giving us basically a way out of this basically conversation. So, yeah. After that, the cops came, gained the villains, and everyone's basically trying to see the dead Nomu as that's a villain, which Izuku was like, no, it's basically a walking zombie. He kind of says in a sarcastic tone, which some cops are just looking at him, blinking. Some are a little annoyed. He's like, of course it's a freaking zombie. We just said that thing was dead. It was made by villains, so it is a villain. Like, Zuko's just looking at them like, really? They just kind of like, all look at each other, just sigh. One says, hate when kids are right. So yeah. So after that though, no one was hurt, no one was injured, they didn't have to go to the extra places. They found out villains were waiting for those in those, zones. And, yeah. So basically, when Izuku, Shinzo, Midnight, and I Razorhead basically all get home, Izuku basically sits down on the couch, and they're like, okay, that was pretty cool. Which I'll be like, yeah, also my arm. Which, basically, Venom shows her face, basically on Izuku's shoulder, but like, I can try to fix it if you want. Which he's like, you can do that? Which Izuku goes, yep, how do you think I got rid of my cancer? In which, basically, as I was like, please, try. So yeah, so basically, Izuku gets up, walks to his up, puts his hand on his shoulder, and then Venom goes onto a razor head, and basically fix his arm. Which he's basically looking at it and basically would nod. Recovery girl was not in that day. She was sick. In this would have, so yeah. So basically, he's like, thanks. So, and because she's back on Zuko, she says no problem. Which basically she goes into her human form. Looks like Mary Jane. So Zuko's sitting down. He was like, now then. Okay, gotta tell you something. Which everyone just looks at him and they're like, yes. Which Venom sends next to him. Which, how basically I, was tickling him with the Nomu? Which is how Midnight goes like, yes. Basically, Shinzo's like, wait, what? He goes, yes, basically I can leave Izuku, basically go to other people and help them out. Look, I also basically kind of copied or took the quirks. So basically Midnight goes like, so what does that mean? He goes like, I got multiple quirks. I mean, she basically can give me multiple quirks. In which Aizawa was like, isn't that dangerous? Which, basically, Venom would be like, yes, but if he didn't have me, it would be. I basically just put it basically into his genes, so where it's just a natural thing. So basically, Aizawa just sides with like, so what does he have? She says regeneration and shock absorption. And basically, he's like, what happened to the super strength one? She goes, I'm keeping that. Yeah, making the super strength was a quirk. So basically, when I'm in human form, I can at least help out, and not basically, when I punch something, my hand just hits it, and then basically it could basically splash or not. In which Aizawa, Shinzo, Midnight kind of think that's a pretty good idea. So yeah. In which basically Zuko was like, yep. Also, that basically handyman guy had a decay quirk, which Aizawa was like, please tell me you didn't copy it. Which Venom basically looks at Zuko. Zuko looks like Venom, like, well, he says, you're like, you copied it. Which basically Venom's like, I didn't give him it, but we do know basically that guy has to touch someone with all 5 fingers anywhere and basically decay or even the ground. So basically Shinzo's like, so basically now if you want to basically give him decay, you can just give him it. He goes, backlog, yeah. In which basically he says, which Shinzo just says, coolest brother ever. And basically, coolest brother's girlfriend, friend, which Izuku just, just shrugs, but like, work in progress. So yeah. So basically, what happens is very simple. Like, Midnight just like, well, after that shocking revelation, let's, all just have a nice quiet dinner. And basically enjoy our day and tell each other how it went. Shinzo tells us how his day went. In which everyone just nods. And Shinzo's like, wait, why do I have to tell everyone about my day? Which basically Zuko points out, because you had a normal day while we were fighting villains. He's like, and that sounds way more cool and fun. Which Zuko's like, meh, I do it all the time. And which Venom would say, so, are you going to basically go patrolling out tonight? Or, which he just shrugged like, I don't know. Now, meanwhile, while that's happening, somewhere at Oscorp, basically, something's happening. I want to say Denki has a brother. Well, yeah, no, a stepbrother. Not step. not stepbrother, but adopted brother. And I don't know, basically, I didn't really think of a name for him. I just basically realized who basically would make a good character for basically Electro. Denki was the obvious choice, but I don't want to have Denki as Electro, even though he is. Because, I mean, it'd be kind of like nice to have him still around for now. Okay, yeah, no. A bigger is having an Oscorp, and basically it's basically by All For One. He's there, basically, well, with his breathing dark rip-off mask. His breathing mask and such. And basically he's telling some villains what to get. Because of the fact is, the Nomu's, he needs basically a lot better equipment now because of, not Izuku, just because the Nomu's bodies have been, but their equipment has been failing. So, all of a sudden, somebody comes in. Basically, let's just say it's basically a scientist. David Shield. David Shield was called in by Oscorp to come in and look at something. A support item. In which this lab, well, basically it's a laboratory for inventing, so that they see basically, and there's obviously scientific equipment. So basically they are taking a little bit of both, and All For One's there, he's like, David Shield. And David's like, All For One? He goes, yes. How unfortunate for you to be here. Now, what to do with you? He was like, basically David's basically about to do something, but then all of a sudden he basically, All For One basically hits him with, I would say, a projectile quirk, basically wind. Yeah, wind quirk. Basically I've sent him flying into basically a door. As basically All For One does walk towards David. David's getting up slowly as, well, All For One basically has a smirk underneath his mask because he saw basically experimental fluid of lizard DNA. And which he grabs David by the collar and goes, now, I am basically going to leave you basically in a nice bath. I hope you enjoy it, David. In which basically he's like, wait, what? He goes, and this is a message to All Might saying I am still around. Which, yeah, he just got thrown David into basically the glass where it was holding the experimental liquid for the lizard serum. In which, as soon as he hits it and it breaks, it basically, the basic liquid hits David, as he basically even ingests some of it, basically drinks some of it by accident. In which, well, David starts to change. He starts to be in agony because it's working right away. In which someone basically, All For One leaves, some basically people come in along with Osborne, where she's like, David! In which he's like, Osborne! All For One! What's happening? He's basically, Osborne looks at basically what it said, where she basically says, someone, get the doctor and scientists, now! Which he looks at, Osborne looks at David, like, it's gonna be fine, David. We're gonna fix you. And which David will pass out. Now, what happens next? It's very simple. Izuku will wake up, basically, and then when he basically would hear about the news that Oscorp was basically broken into, and basically Osborne making a basic announcement, and literally saying basically how they basically were, using basically DNA of a lizard with basically, was using experimental, lizard DNA, and basically they were trying to basically make a support item that would basically say if it breaks, this basically liquid would cover it and basically make it regenerate. It wasn't basically 100% finish. They were basically still in the testing phases and basically trying to figure out a way how you can even infuse the metals with it. So in a sense, because of this break-in, basically someone basically hit the liquid because of this villain attack, and basically now they are basically transforming into a lizard hybrid. Well, half lizard, half human. Basically because of which basically someone like, so it's just like, basically the reporter goes, so you mean to tell me a lizard man? Osborn would be like, yes. Basically they able to walk on, they will have basically the body of basically the scales and tail of a lizard, basically including the claws and such, and walk on all fours, but they can stand on two legs. So basically, some reporters are like, but why were you using experimental lizard DNA for this? Experiment was like, we wanted to see if we could. If basically we were basically coming to a conclusion we couldn't, and we are going to basically expose basically the lizard DNA properly. In which I was just basically saying, basically saying this, saying basically something about basically who do you know who it was, which basically he would basically says that is for the heroes to know. I'm sorry, but based on that, all the questions I will answer. In which basically they, more people are trying to ask questions and such. Osborn's leaving, in which basically, he hears Venom just groaning, like, not the lizard. In which he's like, so he was like, is that a bad thing? Basically, she goes, yes, let's just hope that basically he actually can keep his, human brain and not have the lizard brain in control, because if the lizard brain is in control, he's going to be one or basically multiple different basically enemies that are going to be very, very difficult for you. Why? Why is this happening? In which Izuku's just blinking, he just shrugs. In which Aizawa, basically at midnight, coming down the stairs because Izuku would have been up early due to him basically just doing probably a whole night, but not a whole night, probably until midnight patrol. Came back, slept, woke up around maybe 5:30 in the morning, making breakfast, eat, and they basically ask him what's wrong with Venom, because Venom's basically sitting on the table with her head down. In which basically Zuko's like, oh, just someone got turned into a lizard. Which they're like, huh? Which basically is one of Spider-Man's villains, the lizard. Which they're like, oh. Shinzo's coming out, was like, what do you mean by one of Peter's enemies called the lizard? In which Izuku's like, yeah, just Peter Parker, basically Dr. Connors, basically, scientist, basically fought. He turned himself into a lizard, and yeah, not good. In which basically he just blinks. He's like, okay. Meanwhile, though, at Oscorp, as All Might is seeing basically David's groaning basically as he's starting to get scales on him and his nails are getting sharp, which All Might's like, David, which he's like, hey, Toshinori, long time no see. He's like, what happened to you? He goes, did you see in the news? He just nods. He was like, I ingested some of that lizard DNA. Experimental. I got transformed, and they need to try to find a cure for me. But look, he basically looks at basically, All Might. He goes like, if basically I turn fully into a lizard and I lose myself, watch over Melissa for me, please. Which he's like, David, they'll be able to fix you. He was like, it's experimental. We don't know that I can even be cured. So please, Toshinori, watch over my daughter for me. In which All Might looks and nods. He was like, I will. I promise. In which he just smiles and basically then all of a sudden he just starts, scream. He starts screaming out of pain because all I can hear basically his bones are basically breaking and reconstructing, which doctors are coming in, basically bringing out All Might as All Might is basically outside, hearing basically David scream as he just basically wants to know who did this. As Osborn comes, he's like, Toshinori? He's like, Osborn? Basically, he's like, Osborn would say to him, David told me who did this. All for one. Which All Might's eyes widen, and then he clenches his fist. He's like, all for one. He just nods. He was like, look, I promise you, we'll try to fix him. Or if we can't try to basically fix this change in him, we'll try to basically keep that basically human part of his brain there. Alright? In which All Might will nod. So, All Might basically leaves. Osborn just sighs. And he's just thinking to himself, oh, for one, you really are starting to basically make a problem for me. I need to try to basically get security more here. Better security here. But give me a minute, everyone. Alright, so now we will go back to Izuku. As Izuku's like, anyways. So, what's gonna happen today, Dad? As you're looking at Aizawa. Which Aizawa is like, well, first off, I'm gonna have to talk to Nezu. He's gonna make a decision. And the sports festival's coming up. Which Izuku was like, oh, come on. Which is like, huh? It's like, no. It's not the fact is that we're having the sports festival. It's just that everyone's not going to realize not to show everything that they got. Because people are going to basically use this as a way to basically lead out from other hero schools to basically figure out basically what we're capable of. Which Midnight Shinzo, Midnight and Aizawa is actually just blinking at him. Which he's like, what? Which basically, they're just like, you got it. Wow. Aizawa was like, I know I shouldn't be surprised since you're my son, but I'm still surprised, and I am very proud of you. Which, just, Shinzo was like, puts a thumbs up and goes, good job, bro. Which Izuku's like, thanks? So, yeah, that's how it was for Izuku. When they get to class, everyone's talking about what happened yesterday. Basically, no one really told about the whole entire whatever creature basically Izuku has. Basically, they don't know it's actually with him always. They just say basically a part of his, hero costume. Basically, ate the brain. They basically were not very too keen. Some people are not keen on it. Some just don't really care. Others I just think it's cool. But yeah. So just well, when Izuku gets in, he's like saying hi everyone. Everyone's just saying hi. Some are saying it a little bit cautiously, but then Izuku's like, okay, first off, I don't have it on me. It's only basically on my suit. My hero costume. I had to apply it, basically it stays there permanently, so don't worry. Which some people are signing like Mineta. And basically, well, Mineta and some other people. He goes, anyways, I have an announcement to make after Aizawa gets here. So, yeah. Since basically, I'm going to say Midnight and Aizawa were talking about it, and basically they were, they told Izuku on the way, he goes like, so, Izuku, we know basically, Midnight's telling him this, we know basically you've been living with us, but since you're, Shota's kid, which basically Izuku's like, yeah, I'm no man's kid, which is basically, he's like, and basically since, you're a part of the family, you want to be adopted into the family, but technically saying you're my, well, we just have to tell, basically, them you're my son, and see, basically, we just have your name change, basically putting your Midoriya as your middle name, which he's like, wait, so you mean, which basically is Aizawa nods, you're like, I don't want you to forget your mother, so, I'm just saying, we can call you still Midoriya, but we can have basically Aizawa as your last name. What do you think? Which Izuku just blinking, just smiling, and just nods like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Which basically Venom basically has a smile, and inside, basically Venom's just smiling. Izuku, no one sees it though because, well, she's not being shown. And basically Shinzo's like, nice. Oh, by the way, you think you can help me basically train, physical training more? Which he's like, depending. He was like, what do you mean by depending? He's like, how much can you basically bench press? Which he's like, oh, come on, don't you dare say you can do a base over 1,000 pounds. But he's like, I can lift up a car without the suit on. Which basically he's like, that is some. I hate spider powers. Which is just smirking. But yeah, so back to it. Which basically everyone's like curious, which Baku's like, come on, nerd, just say it already. Which he's like, no. In which, basically, well, when Aizawa comes, he's like, hello everyone. Which everyone's kind of shocked because Aizawa's arm's fixed. Which basically, Ida's like, Sensei, I'm glad you're alright, but what happened to your arm? Why is your arm fixed, even though that's not a problem? Which you're like, well, it doesn't matter, Ida. Got it fixed, that's all you need to know. Now, here's the thing. I don't want none of you to basically, say this. Basically, I'm going to give someone, or any one of you, special treatment. Know this. I'm going to push that person a lot more harder than any one of you. Which, basically, everyone's very confused. Baku, basically Arako's like, Sensei, what do you mean? He was like, well, here's the thing. You all know, basically, Izuku Midoriya basically has his quirk called Blackout. Which everyone's nodding. He was like, mine is called Eraser. Which everyone's just nodding. He was like, they both have exactly the same things, but his is stronger than mine since it does for 2 hours. Which, just Momo and Ida just look at Izuku's eyes wide. Momo's like, you're... Izuku was like, yep, pretty much. I'm his kid. Which Bakugo, just like, dumbfounded. Everyone is shocked. Just like, Mina's like, so wait, you mean you're Aizawa Sensei's kid? Basically Izuku was like, yep. Didn't know he didn't even know I even existed for the 14 years. He was like, look, I said I'm sorry. How many times do you want me to say it? Meh. When I feel like it, I can basically say, it's fine. It's not like basically I needed you in my life. Which, basically, Aizawa just sighs. He's like, you really are a problem child. He's like, I learned from the best. Again, Aizawa sighs. So, basically, Denki's like, so that means you're gonna have him... Yes, I'm gonna have him basically train a lot more, basically intensely than all of you. Since I expect a lot more from him, since he's my kid. Which, I just think Mina's like, wait, so Mrs. Midoriya, your mom, and Sensei, which Izuku was like, yeah. They got really, well, at a party, sort of a New Year's, drunk. Which, basically, everyone's just like, oh. Yeah, my mom but he didn't walk down to her, he was still asleep. He woke up because she closed the door. So she walked out on him. Which, just like, wow, yeah, pretty much. My quirk basically was somehow blocked due to some things. let's just say a little bit of a drawback on it. Basically, kind of basically gave me a little bit of a problem, which everyone's just like, which Bakugo was like, yeah, little problem. Which Izuku just looked at him and was like, yep, little. So, anyways, just wanted to basically say that, let you guys know, Sensei, he's basically trained me more intensely than all of you. That's the reason why he expects a lot more from me. Which, basically, Kirishima was like, so, I mean, like, what type of basically intense training are you going to be put through? He's like, if you guys are running basically a 200-mile lap, basically, me, I have to do exactly the same thing, but with weighted gear on. Which everyone just blinking. Which basically, Baku was like, "You're kidding, right?" He goes, "Nope." Just like, I think just thinking like how much would it weigh? Which basically, Aizawa would be like, "How much can you lift?" Which Zuko just, kind of just said a normal amount of weight for him. Be like, probably if you're talking about how much I can bench press, probably 1,000 pounds. Which just basically Aizawa just nodding. He goes like, anything else? He goes, not really lift anything and run with it, so don't really know how much. We'll just do the test and see. Which is I would just sigh like, yep. Test and see. So everyone just kind of just blinking at Zuko, just like, is he really serious? So yeah. So class will start, but then I was all like, oh yeah, by the way, you got basically 2 weeks off to train for the sports festival. Good luck to that. We're just going to start class, and basically, yeah. So that's what happens. And during these 2 weeks, well, Izuku, on the first week, literally did train himself. But, trained himself basically for the ringer. Trying to basically see, the regeneration, what it can do. The shock absorption, how much could it actually handle? It can handle a lot, but technically it has its limits. But the regeneration, he sort of finds out it regenerates basically stab wounds, broken bones back in place. But it can also only do basically if it regenerate. It can't regenerate basically the whole entire hand of a gnome. Well, the whole entire basically hand of the gnome. They don't know how well Izuku and Venom don't know how much he can regenerate from. So he doesn't want to have to basically do anything of that. So, yeah. He's not going to basically push himself to where he actually cuts off his own hand by accident. But anyways. Wow, okay, I think I'll just go a little bit more. But yeah, so I want to say this though. All of a sudden, like on the second week, a news report's happening where, well, they're just watching and saying someone in a weird yellow and brown outfit with, we don't know what they're doing, but they're basically destroying basically this part of the city it just shows basically this weird image. I said destroyed part of the city, basically this area, basically, which is just them robbing a bank, and, well, when they show the image, basically Venom basically was sitting with Izuku, like, cuddling with him in her human form, and then when she sees it, she goes, shocker, which Izuku was like, another villain? Yep. Let's basically try to pinpoint the location of him through the web. See basically with a map and see where he's been at least try to. She was on it. Yeah, okay, so I'll go a little bit longer because of the video. I mean, because I don't know how much I can handle with this. Because I'll probably get uploads soon the videos, but anyways. So yeah, so basically they basically start to like find out where Shocker has been. And which Shocker has been basically was started out in the US and kept on coming into Japan. And now he's in Japan. He basically has robbed at least 3 different stores. And he's been getting away even though basically Japan has All Might. Shocker basically goes out when basically during school when All Might's not around, or basically when All Might's basically in that 3-hour time limit, well, he basically has to rest. So basically, they've been like calculating his location and basically that's all in one day. Which Aizawa and Shinzo basically ask him what they're doing. Well, and they just say basically trying to find Shocker. Which is like, huh? Basically, he pulls up basically the news from this morning, showing the image of Shocker. That's Shocker, and there's one of Spider-Man's villains that I have to go deal with. Like, oh, want some help? Which basically he nods. Besides, always says he'll basically ask some hero friends of his. Which basically Midnight will come back and kind of see basically the whole entire living room kind of covered in basically like map and paper and notes, in which basically she's like, "What did I just walk into?" Izuku and Zawa and Shingo and Venom say an investigation on basically one of Spider-Man's villains called Shocker. She's like, "I'm in," and basically just kind of like just doing something as a family. So, I do want to save that part for later. I want to say this. They do spend like a good couple of hours on it till like it's night, which basically Midnight says, "We've been doing this for basically hours, right?" Which Izuku would nod like, "Yeah, I think it's time we take a break." Which Aizawa says, "Agreed. We gather all the information we can." Which Izuku's like, "Maybe I should make a Spidey tracker or something." Which Venom's like, "You're really gonna basically make a spider tracker?" He's like, "Yeah. Basically, I could try to basically replicate the suit's AI, basically that has in it with the crime system. It's basically where I basically will put in my normal spider suit. So that way it'd be easier to track, basically, crimes. And then basically put maybe, like, visuals, basically, on, basically, the lens of my mask, so that way I basically can see when I'm going. I can also basically, like, have, like, a pinpoint locations of where the crime is. Which everyone just looks at me like, "What do you think this is, a video game?" He's like, "What? Just trying it out. You never know." In which basically Venom says, "True, but we need to basically have like a mini map on it then." He's like, "Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we gotta do to the suit now." She goes, "Yep." In which basically Midnight says, "Anyways, I'm gonna go make dinner. And we'll basically talk more about this tomorrow." I also, basically, Aizawa basically then gets a call, which she's like, "Huh?" So basically he answers like, All Might, what's wrong?" He goes, "Oh, you want us to help you have someone move in?" "Oh, okay. Why us? Why me of all people?" "Oh, yeah, secrets." "Hey, what do you mean about secrets? I don't have any," which all my someone can basically hear as Al goes like, "Oh, you little whatever, fine, I'll help you." How the hell you even found out?" "Oh, fine. We'll consider this like a hush thing." And then he hangs up, which Izuku was like, "Everything alright?" He goes, "Just a muscle brain idiot. Because he needs some help." Turns out his friend basically was the one that's turned into the lizard. And his daughter basically is moving in with him and he needs help moving around some stuff in basically a room. In which basically he asks me for help because he can trust me keeping a secret because of this. And not basically other heroes. Because, well, even though basically Class 1A knows, not many people know about you, but he also basically, he has some dirt on me when I was trying to keep a secret when I was basically, I thought no one knew. Which, basically, basically Midnight's like, "Oh my god, he has got some dirt on you?" He's like, "Yes, he's been saving this for years," he said. "So we're gonna help him out tomorrow. And maybe, basically you can learn something from this person, Zuko. Because you're trying to learn how to build things while mechanically build." Which Zuko's like, "Cool." So basically they have a dinner and they all go to bed. well, they have dinner, they chat, his basically stay up for a couple more hours, and basically they go to bed, which Izuku's basically on his bed while Venom uniform basically comes in, just laying next to him, and he's like, "You're staying a lot of times in your human form instead of just going back into your symbiote form." She goes, "I like it better." She's just basically hugging him. He's like, clingy. Just, yes, I know. So what? Well, hopefully this person will be interesting to talk to. And I'm wondering why Dad said she'd be able to help us. Which basically she just shrugs like, don't know, but sleep. He's like, fine, fine. As then basically falls asleep. Now, I'll end it here, everyone. Hope you guys have a nice day, night, wherever you are, and bye.